깜짝이야. 스킷 이제 녹음하는 날에도 진짜
No one saw it coming, not even the fans who had learned to read between every glance, every silence, every breath. When whispers first surfaced about Jungkook making a big decision, most assumed that it was another cryptic rumor born out of late-night speculation. But this time it's different. This time, the atmosphere around BTS shifted in such a way that it felt heavier, calmer, almost fragile, as if the world itself was holding its breath. What happens next is not just a revelation, but an emotional chain reaction that will leave millions of soldiers stunned, conflicted, and searching for answers long after that moment has passed. Jungkook has always been known as the Golden Magne, one who smiles through pressure, who shoulders hope easily on his shoulders, who rarely lets the world see the weight he bears. But those closest to him began to notice subtle changes. Less spontaneous appearance, pause longer before speaking, a gaze that remains somewhere far beyond the camera lens. Insiders later described this period as a very personal pre-storm calm, one that Jungkook had grappled with in silence for far longer than anyone realized. Then comes the decision, not announced with fireworks or dramatic statements, but expressed through tacit confirmations that spread like wildfire on social media. Jungkook has chosen to step back, not away from BTS, not away from ARMY, but towards himself. A decision that is not rooted in weakness, but in courage. Sources close to the group described it as a moment of reckoning, the realization that moving forward without overcoming the inner turmoil would ultimately cost her everything she loved. For fans who have watched her grow from a teenager to a global icon, the news was shocking. It forces everyone to face an often overlooked truth. Even the strongest of hearts can get tired. But it was Taehyung's confession that really broke the silence. It happened quietly, without warning. No dramatic build-up. There are no sensational teasers. Just words raw, unguarded, and painfully honest. Taehyung, known for his poetic soul and enigmatic charm, speaks in a way he has never experienced before. Those who heard it described the room as frozen in time. His voice didn't tremble, but the emotion behind it was unmistakable. She talks about nights spent worrying, conversations conducted in hushed tones after the schedule ends, seeing someone she cares about smile at the world while slowly fading away behind closed doors. What struck ARMY most was not the content alone, but the vulnerability. Taehyung admits that there were times he wished he had spoken sooner, times when he questioned whether the love expressed through silence was enough. He didn't point a finger. He doesn't dramatize. On the contrary, she admitted that she was afraid of losing someone not because of distance, but because of fatigue. The fear that being strong together sometimes means admitting that you're not okay alone. Within minutes, the timeline exploded. Fans around the world struggled to process what they had just witnessed. Some cried, some feel guilty, others feel an incredible protective sense that they cannot express in words. This is not idle news. This is not entertainment. This is humanity, naked under the harshest glare imaginable. The relationship between Jungkook and Taehyung has always been the subject of endless discussion, analysis, and interpretation. But nowadays, labels have become irrelevant. What matters is the undeniable bond between two people navigating fame, pressure, and personal identity in a world that rarely gives idols room to exist. Taehyung's confession isn't about drama, it's about the truth. And the truth, when spoken without armor, has a way of leaving people speechless. Behind the scenes, those familiar with BTS describe the atmosphere as somber but supportive. The members reportedly gathered around Jungkook, respecting his decision while reiterating that he was never alone in making it. No ultimatums, no imposed schedules, just understanding. In an industry that famously pushes artists beyond their limits, this moment feels revolutionary, quietly strong, indispensable. Soldiers also found themselves at a crossroads. Over the years, fans have celebrated toughness, perseverance, and sacrifice. Now, they are asked to celebrate the break, to honor honesty over perfection, To love their idols is not only because of their strength, but also because of their fragility. Many admitted that Taehyung's words forced them to reflect on their own lives, their own silences, their own unspoken confessions. As the dust begins to settle, one thing is clear: this is not about scandals. It's about growth. Jungkook's decision was not an end, but a pause, a deliberate step taken to protect the future rather than risk losing it. Taehyung's confession is not a surprising tactic, but an act of trust shared with a world he knows may misunderstand but hopes will listen. And listen to what they do. In the end, the army was left speechless not because of rumors or theories, but because they were reminded of something very simple and very human. Even legends need room to breathe, and sometimes the bravest thing anyone can do is tell the truth, no matter how calmly it is spoken. The aftermath unfolds slowly, not in explosive headlines, but in quiet moments that last long after the screen goes dark. Fans replayed Taehyung's words over and over again, searching for hidden meanings between pauses, wondering how much pain had been carefully hidden behind his familiar smile. Jungkook, meanwhile, has remained largely silent, and that silence speaks louder than any statement. It is not avoidance, it is reflection. Those close to him suggested that this pause was something he needed for a long time, a rare opportunity to live without hope shouting his name from all directions. What makes this moment resonate so deeply is its honesty. There is no attempt to romanticize the struggle, no subtle narrative designed to convince everyone instantly. Instead, there is uncertainty, and that uncertainty feels real. For an artist who has spent most of his life being watched, judged, praised, and dissected, choosing to step back is an act of self-preservation that challenges the system built around it. Jungkook's decision quietly questions a culture that celebrates resilience, but rarely questions the cost that Taehyung's role in this story continues to resonate in unexpected ways. Fans noticed how her pleasant presence brought a new depth, how her eyes seemed more sober, more grounded. Some describe it as the gaze of a person who finally says what needs to be said, regardless of the consequences. His confession does not demand sympathy, it invites understanding. And in doing so, it reminds everyone that caring deeply often means risking vulnerability, even when the world is watching. Across the continent, soldiers responded not with anger, but with unity. Messages of support flooded every platform, written in countless languages, but carrying the same sentiment. Take your time, breathe, we're still here. For many fans, this moment reshapes what it means to support an artist. It was no longer just about streaming records or breaking charts, but about making room for healing, growth, and humanity. Industry insiders quietly recognize the importance of what is happening. Rarely does a global phenomenon like BTS slow down by choice. Even less often, such a pause becomes a joint emotional experience rather than a source of reaction. This is not a collapse. This is a conscious rearrangement. And in that reset, something changed not only for Jungkook or Taehyung, but for everyone who had been watching from afar, projecting power onto a figure who never asked to be invincible. But as time passed, the initial shock softened into contemplation. Fans began to ask different questions, not when will he return, but how is he really? That shift alone marks a quiet revolution. The story is no longer driven by urgency, but by concern. And perhaps that is the most powerful result of all, because long after the rumors fade and the headlines continue, this moment will be remembered not as a crisis, but as a turning point. A reminder that behind every legend there is a human heart, capable of destroying, healing, and choosing honesty over silence. And in choosing that honesty, Jungkook